Over 60 billionaires pumped up to $28 million into a local election, but they still lost to a 34-year-old promising to tax their extreme wealth.
I mean, it completely flips the script on how we assume power operates.
Oh, totally. Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are unpacking the historic 2025 New York City mayoral race.
Yeah, and it is a wild one.
It really is. So, Zohran Mamdani, a Democratic socialist and state lawmaker from Queens, just became the city's first Muslim and South Asian mayor.
Right.
And he defeated massive political heavyweights like former Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa. But the real story we found in the sources today is the money.
Always the money.
Exactly. So picture this. About 111 billionaires live in New York City.
Wow. Okay.
Together, they hold a combined wealth of over $717 billion. And a huge coalition of those ultra-wealthy individuals mobilized to stop Mamdani from taking office.
And, as we look at our sources today, which get incredibly heated from both the left and the right, our goal isn't to declare a winner.
Right, absolutely not.
We are not endorsing any of these viewpoints. We are simply here to dissect the strategies, the math, and the political earthquake that just happened.
Because whether you live in New York, Texas, or California, if you're looking at your own local city budget right now, you really should care about this race.
Oh, 100%.
It serves as a real-time stress test on a massive question. Can everyday voters out-organize extreme wealth?
Yeah, and on the flip side, can a city heavily tax its richest residents without driving away the very businesses that fund its entire operation?
Right. It is a phenomenal case study. Let's start by looking at the pure scale of the financial opposition Mamdani faced.
Because the numbers here just shatter normal campaign precedents.
They really do.
Yeah.
We are talking about an effort by over 60 billionaires and affluent families pouring their resources into super PACs.
Wait, political action committees.
Yeah, operating under names like Fix the City and Defend NYC, primarily aiming to defeat Mamdani and prop up Andrew Cuomo.
Well, let me stop you there because the mechanics of this are really important for you to understand.
Oh, for sure.
Why use super PACs? Why don't these billionaires just write a massive check directly to the candidate they want?
Right. Why the extra step?
That is a crucial distinction. Direct campaign donations are strictly capped by election law.
Okay.
A single person can only give a couple $1,000s directly to a mayoral candidate's campaign fund.
Which, for a billionaire, is basically pocket change.
Exactly. It doesn't let them leverage their massive wealth to influence the outcome. Super PACs, however, are the legal loophole. They are technically independent organizations, meaning they cannot coordinate directly with a political campaign.
Right.
But because of that independence, individuals can legally dump completely limitless amounts of money into them.
So it's essentially a shadow campaign fund.
Precisely.
And the total donations these super PACs collected from this wealthy group reached somewhere between $19 million and $28 million.
It's staggering.
Just to give you some perspective on how heavy that is, this tiny group of about 6 billionaires pumped more cash into the election through super PACs than the combined force of 60,000 small-dollar donors who gave directly to the campaigns.
Wow. And what is fascinating here isn't just the concentration of wealth, but the weaponization of it.
How so?
Well, this was not a scattershot approach where a few rich guys toss money around. This was a highly organized corporate defense mechanism.
Triggered by a local municipal threat.
Exactly. Look at the specific individuals funding this effort. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg was the single largest backer.
Okay, how much did he give?
He dropped anywhere from $8.3 million to $13.3 million.
Wait, one person dropping $13 million on a local mayoral race?
Yeah.
That totally breaks my mental model for municipal politics.
And he had plenty of company. Joe Gebbia, the co-founder of Airbnb, kicked in $3 million.
Wow.
Hedge fund manager Bill Ackman put in $1.75 million. The Lauder family, the heirs to the Estee Lauder cosmetics empire, gave up to $2.6 million.
Unbelievable.
Even the founders of DoorDash threw in nearly $3 million.
Meanwhile, look at how Mamdani built his war chest.
Right.
He had exactly one major billionaire supporter.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Simons, an heiress and philanthropist, gave $250,000 to a pro-Mamdani PAC.
Which is a drop in the bucket compared to the opposition.
Seriously. The sources show Mamdani relied heavily on direct, small-dollar donations from everyday people.
Retirees, Local block project managers.
Yeah, working class people chipping in 20 or 50 bucks a piece.
You know, I have to bring up a comparison that kept popping into my head while reading this.
Let's hear it.
This whole billionaire spending spree feels remarkably like a wealthy sports owner trying to buy a championship team.
Oh, like they just go out and buy up all the most expensive free agents.
Right, assuming the sheer amount of cash guarantees an easy win. But then they face this scrappy minor league team that just fundamentally plays better together on the field, and the expensive team gets crushed.
That's a great analogy. So how does a grassroots campaign actually functionally defeat a $28 million ad blitz?
It comes down to the mechanics of human trust versus sheer volume.
Okay, break that down.
When billionaires spend $28 million through a super PAC, they buy a mountain of television commercials.
Yeah.
They buy endless glossy mailers that stuff your mailbox.
Right.
And digital ads that follow you everywhere you go online. It is a total bombardment.
But political science data consistently shows that in local elections, face-to-face conversations are king.
Exactly. When Mamdani leverages his working-class base, he gets thousands of volunteers physically knocking on doors.
Yeah, a neighbor looking you in the eye and explaining why a specific candidate will help lower their rent.
That builds a level of trust that a television commercial simply cannot manufacture.
So the billionaires might have actually shot themselves in the foot here.
How do you mean?
Well, by trying to buy the airwaves, did they make themselves the perfect villains for Mamdani's campaign?
Oh, they absolutely handed him a narrative gift. The billionaire class believed they could outspend Mamdani to control the public narrative. But Mamdani used their financial opposition as a core campaign asset.
He pointed at the super PACs and basically said, look at how terrified the elite are of us.
He even joked publicly that the tens of millions of dollars these oligarchs spent to stop him was significantly less than what he wanted them to pay in yearly taxes.
Which is a perfect segue, because billionaires do not orchestrate a $28 million defense just because they dislike a candidate's personality.
No, definitely not.
They saw an existential mathematical threat to their bottom lines in his actual platform. Let's look at the mechanics of what Mamdani was actually proposing.
Well, Mamdani ran on an unapologetic tax-the-rich agenda designed to fundamentally redistribute the city's resources.
Right.
The cornerstone was a proposed 2% tax on New Yorkers making over $1 million a year.
Okay. And he paired that with proposals to freeze rent prices, implement free public bus routes, and even create city-run grocery stores to force basic living costs down.
And then there is the pied-à-terre tax.
Yes. I want to break this down because it became a massive flashpoint.
Go for it.
A pied-à-terre is basically a secondary apartment. Mamdani's proposal was an annual fee specifically targeting luxury second homes worth over $5 million.
And the crucial detail here is that it targets properties where the owners do not live in the city full-time.
Right. From a progressive policy standpoint, empty luxury apartments are viewed as a drain on the city.
Because they take up valuable real estate, but the owners live in Florida or the Hamptons most of the year.
Exactly. They aren't paying local income taxes or buying groceries in the neighborhood. They use the city as a playground without funding its infrastructure.
And this specific tax proposal triggered one of the most explosive public feuds of the entire election.
Oh, you're talking about the Ken Griffin incident.
Yes. This was an unbelievable piece of political theater.
Mamdani actually filmed a viral campaign video standing right outside 220 Central Park South.
Which is the building where Citadel CEO Ken Griffin owns a $238 million penthouse.
Just massive wealth. And Mamdani stood on the sidewalk, looked at the camera, and said, I said I was going to tax the rich. Well, today we're taxing the rich.
Pointing straight up at Griffin's property.
Yeah. And Griffin's cam reacted fiercely. Griffin called the stunt creepy and weird, arguing that filming outside his residence put him in personal danger.
But the retaliation wasn't just rhetorical, right?
No, not at all. Executives at Citadel, Griffin's firm, openly threatened to pull the plug on a massive $6 billion development project they were planning in Manhattan.
Wow.
A project that would have generated thousands of construction and corporate jobs.
It was the ultimate corporate flex. Tax us and we take the jobs and the money somewhere else.
Exactly. But Griffin wasn't the only titan to enter the fray. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos went on CNBC and unleashed a brutal critique of New York City's public school budget.
Bezos focused entirely on government efficiency, or the lack thereof.
Right.
He pointed out that New York City's school budget is an astronomical $43 billion.
Which is just a staggering number.
Right. That breaks down to about $44,000 being spent per single student.
Wow.
Bezos argued that Despite this massive outlay, the money clearly does not trickle down to the actual teachers in the classrooms.
Because of the bureaucracy.
Exactly. He claimed the system is so deeply mismanaged that pouring more tax dollars into it is irrational.
His exact quote was wild. He said if Amazon ran the school system with that level of mismanagement, your packages would take 6 weeks to arrive and still have the wrong item inside.
Ouch.
Yeah, he basically argued that you could double the taxes on the wealthy, and it still wouldn't buy a new textbook for a teacher in Queens because the machine itself is broken.
He even suggested an alternative approach.
Oh, right. He said instead of taxing the rich more, the government should eliminate income taxes entirely for the bottom half of earners to give them relief.
Now, Mamdani did not let that slide. He immediately fired back online, stating that he knows a few teachers in Queens who would sharply disagree with Bezos's assessment of how school funding works.
But what you are seeing here is a perfect collision of two irreconcilable worldviews.
Totally.
I want to play devil's advocate for a second using Bezos's argument.
Okay, let's hear it.
$44,000 per student is an immense figure. It is 30% higher than what other major American cities spend.
Right.
So if the city is already spending that much cash, does Mamdani's plan to simply add more taxes actually fix the plumbing of a broken system? Or is he just pouring more water into a pipe that is already heavily leaking?
See, that is the exact mathematical argument the business class is making.
Yeah.
They look at the city as a massive corporation that is failing to manage its expenses properly. Billionaires argue that aggressively targeting wealth drives away the very job creators the city relies on to survive.
Well, ignoring the rot of government mismanagement.
Right. They believe you must fix the leaky pipe first.
But Mamdani counters with a systemic reality. The working class cannot wait for a 10-year bureaucratic overhaul.
Because the cost of living is suffocating them today.
Exactly. He argues that the system currently rewards extreme wealth while essential workers are pushed to the brink of eviction.
Meaning the wealthiest citizens must pay their fair share to keep the city functioning right now.
But man, the rhetoric from the business side got incredibly intense. Take Stephen Roth, the CEO of Vornado Realty Trust.
Oh, this is wild.
Yeah, he publicly compared the political slogan, tax the rich, to disgusting racial slurs.
It was an extreme comparison, but it reveals a lot about the mindset of the financial elite.
What was his reasoning?
Roth argued that many wealthy individuals started with nothing, took massive risks to build businesses, created thousands of jobs, and already pay the lion's share of the city's income taxes.
So he felt the wealthy were being scapegoated.
Exactly, treated as either evil villains or just suckers to be milked for revenue.
And Mamdani's team replied that feeling insulted by a tax policy ignores the privilege of having billions of dollars in the first place.
Reinforcing their stance that the tax system is fundamentally skewed.
So you have this incredibly bitter, incredibly expensive campaign. The public rhetoric is cranked up to maximum volume, but then election day comes and goes.
And Mamdani officially wins.
Right. And this is where the story gets deeply fascinating for you as a listener, because we have to transition from the pure idealism of the campaign trail to the messy, complicated reality of actually governing a city.
This is exactly where the rubber meets the road.
Campaigning versus governing.
Winning an election requires bold, polarizing promises. Governing an economy the size of New York City requires extreme pragmatism.
Yeah, and despite all the viral videos and the aggressive attacks on the billionaire class, Mamdani showed a surprising willingness to compromise the moment he took office.
I was shocked by some of these details.
Me too. He actually gave a public speech thanking Ken Griffin for his contributions to the city.
He completely softened his tone regarding the very guy whose penthouse he used as a prop just weeks earlier.
I know. And his pragmatism extended directly into his cabinet appointments.
Right. Mamdani pledged to keep Jessica Tisch in her powerful role as the New York police commissioner.
Wait, break that down for me, because that feels like a massive contradiction.
It really is. Jessica Tisch is a member of the billionaire Tisch family.
Right. Her family owns the New York Giants and the Lowe's Corporation.
And crucially, her family gave over $1.2 million to the super PATEs that were actively trying to crush Mamdani's campaign.
It is a stunning political maneuver.
It's like watching a brutal 12-round boxing match where they are just destroying each other.
Yeah.
But the second the final bell rings, the fighters hug and suddenly realize they have to go run a Fortune 500 company together.
That is the perfect way to look at it. It highlights the profound tension built into municipal leadership. You can energize voters with a populist tax the rich slogan,
But once you sit in the mayor's chair, you realize that a tiny percentage of the highest earners supply a massive percentage of your city's total tax revenue.
Running a metropolis requires keeping major employers just happy enough that they don't pack up their headquarters and move.
Because capital flight is not just a boogeyman, right? The threat of billionaires leaving is real.
It is entirely real, and they have the resources to execute it smoothly. Look at how Ken Griffin reacted.
Even though Mamdani tried to extend an olive branch by thanking him after the election.
Griffin made good on his previous warnings. He accelerated his plans to expand his footprint outside of New York's tax jurisdiction.
Yeah, the sources show Griffin is planning a massive new development down in Miami for his Citadel headquarters.
He is adding a 300-unit apartment building and a huge commercial complex right in the financial district.
His company went so far as to buy up every single unit in a 22-story condo tower across the street from their lot.
Just so they can demolish the building and expand their new Miami campus.
Which brings us to the concept of fiscal Jenga.
Oh, I like that.
A city's budget is a towering structure, but in places like New York, the tax base is incredibly top-heavy.
Mamdani wants to pull massive blocks of wealth from the top of the billionaires and redistribute that value to support the working class at the bottom.
But the top earners are highly mobile. If Griffin, Bezos, and dozens of others just take their blocks and move to Florida, where there is no state income tax,
the entire revenue tower risks toppling over.
Exactly. And that is the ultimate grueling challenge for Mayor Mamdani right now.
He has a clear democratic mandate from the working class voters to tax extreme wealth and heavily fund public services.
But if the people holding that extreme wealth simply change their legal residency to Miami or Dallas, the tax revenue he promised to capture disappears into thin air.
It leaves the new administration walking a razor wire. How do you fulfill your progressive promises without triggering a corporate exodus that bankrupts the city?
So let's take a step back and look at the whole board.
Good idea. What we have witnessed here is an incredible, historic $28 million financial blitz by some of the richest people on the planet.
They attempted to utilize every legal financial mechanism available to buy a local election, and they failed.
They were beaten by a ground game of working-class voters knocking on doors.
We saw bitter, highly public clashes over school budgets, luxury penthouses, and the core philosophy of whether extreme wealth is a reward for innovation or a symptom of a broken society.
And now we're watching a fragile balancing act as a democratic socialist mayor is tasked with running a city that is fundamentally powered by Wall Street, real estate tycoons, and billionaire investors.
As the gap between the ultra-wealthy and the working class continues to widen across the country, you really need to keep your eyes on this battle in New York City.
This is not just a localized dispute. It is a preview of the political fights and the economic standoffs that are coming to major cities all across America.
The tension between everyday voters demanding affordability and mobile capital seeking lower taxes is only going to get hotter.
It truly is a defining economic issue of our era. Finding a sustainable balance between the need for robust public services and the reality of modern, highly mobile capital will dictate the future of American cities.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to mull over.
Think back to that scrappy minor league team successfully beating the wealthy sports owner.
Right.
If a city manages to out-organize the super pantses and they successfully pass new laws to tax the elite and create affordable housing,
Yeah.
but the billionaires who fund those taxes simply pack up their companies and relocate their wealth to another state, who actually wins the class war?
Well, that is the multi-billion-dollar question.